This episode of Mental is brought to you by Spas and More. Visit spasandmorestl.com for more information.
Hey everybody, welcome back to this episode of Mental. And before we get started today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about TRT treatment from Prime Performance. Prime Performance offers just a wide variety of ways to keep yourself balanced and up to speed with not just in the gym, but keeping up with your kids, keeping up mobility and just recovery things too. If you need a IV bag with vitamins or just a rejuvenation from the week that you've had going into the weekend, and make sure you want to have that same vigor with the family as you do at work, then your best option is to talk to the guys over at Prime Performance. You can call them or visit them online today. And I can tell you, I personally highly recommend what they do. They have 2 area locations, and it is also owned by first responders and military guys. So you're also supporting a great cause there. And then secondly, for all of your IT needs, if you're looking to create a company that is, which all are nowadays, IT based, or you're using servers that aren't necessarily within your own facility, and you need that extra security because you're dealing with personal information or HIPAA information or financial information, make sure you call NWO. NWO provides top-notch services. They have incredible customer service, and they are local, so you can get a hold of them daily. Speaking of financial services, my guest today is Mr. Phil White, and you are a financial planner.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Nobody that I can recall growing up, because this is interesting, I want to figure out, have you tell people a little bit about yourself, but
Right.
I don't remember growing up thinking like any of my buddies thought, I want to be a financial planner when I grow up.
Yeah, it actually doesn't cross a lot of people's minds right away, right?
Yeah. So what brought you?
What prompted it? So I think that one of the things was, and I've got an unusual background, but so my granddad, he was a governor in New York Stock Exchange.
Okay.
So he actually rang the bell and everything at the New York Stock Exchange, and then he was a partner for some local firms down in Clayton. And so I realized that there were 2 things that my granddad did. He was in the military. Mm-hmm. So he was a captain, like a 17-year-old captain of World War I, cavalry officer. And then World War II, he served with the RAF. So too young for one and too old for the other, but he still snuck into both. So I always kind of respected that about my granddad and the life that he provided and everything else like that. So that was one of the reasons like why I wanted to get back into the investment world. And then in the military, I was kind of a pathfinder, right? So your idea was get your compass, go and find the path, see what the risks are, report back what the risks are, and go from there. So saving lives and things like that. And that's why I tell people I'm still charting paths, still saving lives, just and I'm still on point. Like, and that's the biggest thing is being on point, right?
Well, that is an interesting perspective when you think about like a pathfinder,
right,
financially versus just
exactly.
a live thing too. That is pretty cool. So your grandfather sounds like was kind of my grandfather was like my best friend. Was it?
Right.
Did you find a lot of?
Yeah, he was. It was just like I was the youngest of 4 boys, so maybe I caught the tail end, if you would. But I do remember like he was always honorable. He had his golf clubs, and I remember when he gave me his golf clubs, like he passed shortly after that. So, and I've still got his golf clubs to this day. So I play with golf clubs that are way old,
Yeah.
I don't have the big irons. I don't have any of that. I got these little tiny woods. And people like look at my golf clubs like, man, that is just, why are you playing with those clubs? But it's that to remind me of my granddad and still have his clubs out on the course. So, and but yeah, so he had an interesting life for sure. And growing up, he bought our farm, so we have a big farm that he bought, and we were members of St. Louis Country Club. Like, people don't know I'm from Ladue, but I am from Ladue, And so I like grew up with all that, and he provided a lifestyle.
I worked there as a kid.
Was that?
I don't think we've ever discussed that. I worked at St. Louis Country Club
as
a kid.
Yeah. So we probably ran across each other.
Yeah.
So those were all just different. I remember the polo matches and 4th of July and all that. And so that was just always neat that like tradition, family, military, giving back, being involved, right? And so I think that's some things that spoke to my dad also served, and then my dad worked at Bowman's Trust, so he is a trust officer, right? And
So that was kind of the path of your family is
right, being the
service
path,
and military, and then numbers.
right, numbers, yeah. So that's where it was always good, and then charity, right? So my dad worked for St. Vincent de Paul for a long time.
Okay, yeah.
And so charity is always like, I found that gave my dad a lot of peace. And then so that's like another reason why I do a lot of charity is like being able to give back. I feel like if we can do good in the world and make money at the same time, then we're doing good things. So,
Yeah.
And as a financial planner, it's like amazing. I find business owners and just wealthy individuals, and I say it's like there are these big Clydesdales out in the middle of the field that are supposed to pull something, right? But all they're doing is big, beautiful horses out in the middle of the field just eating grass. And they're supposed to pull something, but no one showed them what to pull, right? Mm-hmm. No one showed them how to pull or anything like that. So that's where I meet different people that they know what they know, but they don't know what they don't know, right?
Sure.
So,
And you help them along those paths.
I helped along with that path, yeah.
Because I mean,
And it's
a
also
lot of people
building. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, a lot of people in those positions too probably have. So when you talk about charity or philanthropy of any kind, one of the things I didn't know, but when I started working with those organizations, is like you can go to certain unnamed stores, but we've talked about it offline, and you say, "Hey, can I get you to donate something for this project?" And a lot of them have a budget set out for that,
Right.
but they don't know what to do with that budget. They're not going to go out and seek
Right.
individuals that need
they
help.
don't. And then
So in the same sense, when you're building wealth as an individual,
right.
sometimes you have all this wealth built up, and it might be sitting in a Roth IRA because
Right.
that's what
It might
some
be
companies push.
wherever it is. It might be sitting in a bank account. A couple $1 million is chilling in a bank account.
And you can find ways to help make that money make money, right?
Right.
Because that inflation, some people don't realize, especially at that 72.5 mark, when you start taking out your investments, it's taxed and it's declining. So as you need more, you're getting less.
Exactly. So that's there's all sorts of, like, I think taxation is just the big, number one thing. I always tell people, like, I can make money in the markets, but the biggest thing is like taxation, right? So if you're losing 40% of your income to taxation, then that hurts, right?
Yeah.
And then so showing people how to build more of a tax-free income stream and things like that. But just business succession, passing the torch. A lot of people build, and they don't know how to pass the torch.
Mm-hmm.
Or they build, and they're way over estate limits, $26 million. They're way past that, but they're just too busy, and like, I don't care. I'll let my kids worry about it. And then so I remember this one conversation I had with a couple that they're like, well, I don't care. I'm like, I don't believe in charity because it's my money. And I'm like, you're going to give it to number one charity. And they're like, well, what's that, Phil? And I'm like, the U.S. government. And then they're going to fund every single project you hate and despise. And then they're like, no, they won't. I'm like, yeah, they will. And so they were passionate about women and helping battered women and stuff like that. And so the guy was like, hey, I want to be the guy who kicks down the door and rescues the women. And so we actually, I turned them on into a charity, a female charity, or a charity that helps women who are in crisis. Okay. And so that was cool. That's what I love to do, is I'm trying to chart the path forward. Mm-hmm. That people don't know how to get involved with charity. They don't know what to do. Right. There's so many out there. I don't know who to trust or whatever. And then that's where I team up with people and show them what to do.
Yeah, because you're much more than just a financial planner, right? You're a connector.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, that's my like kryptonite, or the anti-kryptonite, I guess what you want to call it.
Yeah, that's your superpower.
Yeah, it's like
I think that's probably what you and I have in common, is I didn't realize it was a thing until, I certainly didn't realize how to monetize or quantify it. And by quantify it, I just mean multiply what I'm doing, right? And you've done that with your Core 100.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And it's like I'm a big believer. It's about ROI, right? Mm-hmm. And even if I'm for charity, I'm like, yeah, donate $10,000, right, or whatever to my charity, or not my charity, a charity I'm trying to help out. And I'm like, but it's about ROI. I want to make sure you get that $10,000 back. Yeah. And so if it's like a law firm, I'm like, what is one case? If I send you one, injury case, that's obviously $10,000. If I sell a plane, that's $10,000. If I sell this nice car, that's $10,000, right?
Whatever.
Any house, anything. So you look at how do you build people's companies, because a lot of people have like a Fidelity. I'm like, okay, what's the last thing Fidelity did for you? Like, they don't do anything for me. They don't help me with my business.
Yeah.
They just manage my money.
You might get a generic Christmas card without.
Absolutely. And so that's not my idea. Like, I'm like, there's this circle of life, right? The circle of life, there's a small portion that's investments, insurance. The rest is life, right? And that's what we really have to do, is help people with the rest of that life product. And that's where I'm going to grow your business. I'm going to introduce you to people. I'm going to create like a lean business, right? So, for example, you'll actually love this. So, like, I always call myself 95% good, right? And I'm like, that's a solid A on a test, right?
Sure.
And I'm like, bam, I got 95, I'm cooking, right? What does that mean, though? That means I'm 5% bad, right? So if I sleep for 4 hours a day, that means I'm straight up bad for 1 hour a day.
Okay.
And then I'm like, I'm not sure if I can be okay with that, right? Yeah. So then I started talking to people about like the 5% lift, right?
Yeah.
What would the 5% lift look like in your company? And then, okay, that's one thing, that's the number. But what's a 5% lift like in your personal life? And like, if I can give you an hour back for your time for your family, for your kids and everything else like that. And a lot of them are like, Phil, that's mathematics. That's not possible. No way you're going to give me back an hour a day. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, that's my mission, right? Because I'm going to show you, you're chasing the $25 an hour jobs when you should be chasing the $200 an hour jobs. So, and a young guy, he told me to the best way is like, Phil, I'm not a king. I'm a king builder, right? I'm a king maker. Mm-hmm. So he makes other people kings. So he could sit up here. He's got his kings down here, and he has time to meet me, be at complete leisure, right? I know the business owners who are doing it well because they're calm, they're collected, they're everything else like that.
They're not frantic. Like many times, a good example of the frantic business owner would be an owner-operator that I've seen in many different restaurants or bar industries. Because before you get to that certain point, when your busser doesn't show up, when your dishwasher doesn't show up, they're living in hell. They're 80 hours a week, and they thought, oh, I'm going to start my own business.
Right.
When a lot of times, as an entrepreneur, I've had a lot of 80-hour work weeks too, but it's generally I'm at events or I'm doing network, like same as you, right? So like, because we had talked when you started Core 100, and I love the idea, and now I've got some space where I can come join the things. But at first, I remember having to tell you, because I think to be clear is to be caring, and so rather than be like, oh yeah, save a spot for me, I was like, at this time, I unfortunately don't have the time committal.
Right.
And it's because I hadn't figured out my work-life balance yet.
Exactly, and that's key. You know, I had a lady who had probably $35 million net worth, had a bunch of trucks, owned about 100 different properties, and she had done everything herself all her life. That's what she knew, right? She did her own accounting, she did her own taxes, and like the estate plan was chaotic, business was chaotic, and she's like, Phil, I'm chasing a $5,000 check. I don't know where it went. And I'm like, we need it. Like, and then she's picking up rent checks. Mm-hmm. $35 million, she's picking up rent checks. And I'm like, we need to rethink this whole thing, because every time I call you on the phone, you're frantic. You're always frantic. You're always, and then so we need to fix that. Mm-hmm. And then like sometimes it's about family, right? Just fixing family. Like, Phil, I haven't talked to my kids in a really long time, right? And so it's about fixing that family, like making that person realize that that's a relationship that he can fix and work on. And then you try to figure out, okay, like, what do we do, right? Or how do I have a better relationship with my kids? How do I spend those last moments with my parents? How do I do this? So I never get calls about the stock market. I can't really remember the last time I got a call about the stock market. Never have gotten a call about someone's 401k. Never got a call about insurance. Have gotten a call that my mom's sick, that my kids are this way, that I just lost my dog, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like all those freaking life events, those are the calls I take. Those are the calls I take at 10 o'clock at night when someone's up and they're thinking about their business. I'm like, boom, hey, can we meet and sit and talk about whatever? Not about stock market, it's about business, about family, about those different things. I'm a big believer in financial planning. So what that entails, I'm not just looking at investments, I'm not looking at insurance, whatever. I'm doing a mathematical formula where we build a plan together. Because if you write something down, you're that much more likely to achieve it. When you have someone that you're using that's like your coach, your mentor, and your partner, you're even more likely to reach your goals.
I've heard a really cool statistic that I'm going to get the name of the school wrong.
Oh.
Sam was with me, though. It was one of the Ivy Leagues. I want to say it was Harvard did a study. we'll say it's Harvard for all intents and purposes, did a study, and it showed that 3%. These numbers are gonna be wrong too.
No, I went. That's why I didn't use numbers.
3 to 5%, whatever it is. Let's call it 3% of people that write their goals down.
Right.
Are collectively more successful than the other 95% that don't write it down.
So we have to actually find these. When we leave here, we're going to find these numbers.
We could probably run that clip. My guest that day was Arthur. Sam, I'm looking to you. Do you remember this?
No, don't worry about it. We'll
Rabbi.
We'll cross that
rabbi.
bridge. Yeah.
And brilliant guy. We're going to put that we'll put that link to that show in the Connection Center or to the reel because I got a reel.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I love that you say that because I have found that while my wealth certainly hasn't grown over the last year as we build this company, it's like every time we find something, more money, more problems as we expand. But at the same time, much of my life has improved as I've started journaling and writing things down.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
And then
Achieving those goals.
that's where you need to see the goal. You need to know the goal. Like your 3-year, your 5-year, your 10-year goals, and communicate them with someone. Like you were just talking with Gina. Gina and I talk about goals, right? And that's super important because if you don't, then you're just shooting from the hip.
Yeah, everybody's got ideas,
right? And it goes back to the compass and the map, right? Like being the Pathfinder. If I'm just walking through the woods and I don't have a compass and I don't have a map, I'm just like, I could be just absolutely lost. And now you realize, and so I like to meet those people younger because I can catch them before they come to me when they're 55 or 60 years old.
And catch up.
And it's almost too late. But I do meet with a lot of people in reboot mode, I call it. One guy, it's been about a year ago, but he had a great company, a car company. And when we talked about financial planning, he just had a baby. And he's like, he put it off and put it off and put it off. I caught up with him about 9 or 10 months later. He had lost his business. He had guys come in, his friends came in, bad partners, bad decisions, and everything else like that, and lost his business, had to sell everything, bankruptcy, and things like that. But when he's like, Phil, I want to pick up the pieces. I'm like, good deal. We're going to pick up the pieces. We're in reboot mode, right? And we're going to make that path forward. So
that happens a lot in our late 30s, early 40s. You get, whether it's divorces or
there's so
changing
much
career paths, and it's probably more prevalent now than it used to be.
Absolutely,
generations ago because everything's readily available. So there's a grass is greener mentality that my generation has that the other generations prior to me didn't have.
Yeah, there's we're in a whole new generation. It's not like the old days, where I'm going to work at the same job for 30, 35 years. I'm going to retire, collect my pension, whatever, peace out. Yeah. Now people are doing all these different things, have multiple different gigs that they're doing. And
you're hard-pressed to find somebody working the same career path for 3 years.
Right, absolutely.
When I'm looking at applications for people when we were hiring people and stuff, it's like, I don't remember, there might have been 2 people that had a job for 3 years. Everybody's like, I was 8 months here, 1 year here, 4 months here.
Just absolute crazy. I don't relish the fact of trying to hire someone.
No. I mean, do you remember that was a detriment? Like that was, like even in my generation, I think when I was younger, that was like really not just frowned upon, but like you didn't have a chance in hell. Like there used to be talks about gaps in your resume. Like, well, what about this gap in your resume here? Or you only stayed at this job for a year.
Right.
Like, that would like get you disqualified. Nowadays, it's like, oh, I see you moved around 7 different times to get 10 cents more an hour over the last 6 years. Welcome aboard.
Well, that's that once again is just going into the old age of like, how do you get into those positions? And that's like who you know, right?
Yeah.
And then you're in business and charity and everything else like that. So you know that like all our business contacts that we make, I mean, there's a value to that because you can tap someone on the shoulder and say, hey, I need help with XYZ.
Sure.
Right? You're involved in a lot of different veteran stuff. I'm involved in a lot of different veteran stuff, but then we both know people that the other person doesn't. Mm-hmm. So that's when, together that we're stronger, right?
Well, and my desire to serve came from my inability to serve.
Right.
So like all 3 of my uncles, grandfather were all retired military guys. I had heart surgery when I was born. I was born with 2 holes in my heart. And so I never could. So this is that's kind of how I do.
Absolutely, man. There are a lot of different ways to serve, right?
Yeah. Now, though, I think I could probably join the police force at this age because they're so desperate for people.
I know.
I spoke to a recruiter the other day, And she was like, "Oh, you should come in and talk." And I was like, "Oh, I've aged out." And she goes,
Yeah.
"No, we changed the age." And
No.
I was like, "Oh shit."
Firefighting, dude. Don't be a police officer. Well, I love police officers. Don't get me wrong. But firefighting, like if I had to rethink it all over again, like work like 2 or 3 days a week,
And you know your schedule for like your life too.
and then do a real estate investing on the side or whatever I'm doing on the side, and then make like good money and have a good pension and retirement and benefits. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you go long enough in firefighting, you retain like 80% of your.
Yeah. It's just crazy. There's all sorts of cool stuff out there.
Yeah.
But
So speaking of that kind of stuff, and speaking of things we're involved in, you have some things coming up. Did you? I know you were involved with Patriot Jam. Is that still going on? Is that something you're involved with?
So Freedom Jam? Yeah, Freedom Jam. So Freedom Jam went on a hiatus. So we did, and then they just did a Freedom Jam, I think out in Wright City, Troy. I think it was in Troy. So it just happened
west.
about a month ago. But when we took that hiatus, I started rethinking things. I started doing a lot of car shows because I like car shows. It puts me in front of business owners. It puts me in front of veterans. And I like stories. I'm very story driven. So it was a great way to come alongside someone and like hear a cool story.
Yeah.
Meeting some great people and everything else like that. I started getting to think about it, and I was hanging around with plane guys. I was hanging around, like I do Patriot Guard. So hanging around with a bunch of motorcycles, hanging around plane guys, car guys.
Trains, and automobiles. Basically.
Planes, trains, automobiles. So I started thinking about stuff. I'm like, I was doing Vets STL, I think last year. And then Vets STL suddenly became STL Top Rides, where I basically focus on the top businesses in St. Louis, the charities that they care about in the community, and growing a stronger city. So I think my tagline is bringing passion, charities, and community together.
Okay.
And then so I started doing that, and it was kind of this little idea. And then I was at a bourbon event, and there were 50 people. People think I'm an extrovert, but I'm kind of introvert at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I want to meet.
I want to talk about that combination of.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to meet 3 people here. I'm going to talk to 3 people, and then I'm out. Well, the first lady I talked to was Carolyn Burden with Anheuser-Busch Breweries. She's head of events for there, and I'm like, I want to do an event down at the brewery, and like when I can see it and think it and smell it and do all that, just like the vision comes to my head, and I'm like, I'm gonna make it happen. I have no idea how I'm gonna make it happen, but I'm gonna make it happen, right? So spin it forward a little bit. We got the website's up and running. We got ticket sales going, sponsors going. I just talked to Chuck's Boots. Chuck's Boots is coming along. Chuck's Boots helped us out with Freedom Jam for 2 years, and then they're going to come on in and help us with this called St. Louis Lights. So St. Louis, I'm calling St. Louis Lights 2025. I don't want to call it Light Up St. Louis because that kind of sounded bad with all the shooting. Yeah. So, but basically all day Anheuser-Busch Brewery lights are going to be up, and I'm like, man, wouldn't it be great to have like 80 cars in that main tunnel, right? And then so we're going to have cars, country music. I was just on the phone with Katie.
Santa going to be there? Santa Claus going to be there?
Santa Claus? No. Unfortunately, Anheuser-Busch Brewery will not allow a Santa Claus because of the kids and alcohol.
Oh,
at least that's my understanding.
Maybe an elf impersonator or a Grinch?
But it was pretty cool. I just talked to country singer Katie O. Yeah. And she was on American Idol, and oh my gosh, what's the one with Reba? The View. The View? No. Which one? Anyway, there was another country one. The Voice. Thank you. Yeah. She was on Team Reba with The Voice, so she's going to be one of my singers. Molly Lovett is a local singer who sings down in Nashville, and I'm trying to get Ashley Brooks coming up from Georgia. But so cars, country music. I'm going to have some fashion in the main great hallway in the Anheuser-Busch Brewery. And then I'm going to have a casino, so why not, right? You got all that, why not have a casino? So Texas Hold'em, Blackjack, Craps, Roulette, and it's all for the Freedom 13, which is a veteran charity, and then Marine Toys for Tots. So it's I'm looking forward to it. It's want to know more? It's www.stltoprides.com.
And we'll put that in the description link.
Absolutely.
And count me down for at least a couple pallets of toys. I'll bring some
toys down. There you go. Yeah, no, definitely. That'd be cool. So the toys actually are Bikers for Backpacks does something called Christmas in the Streets.
Okay.
which is crazy because like it originally was supposed to be Christmas in the Streets. But so, and that benefits families out in St. Charles.
Okay.
So they're one of like, as the drop comes in, they're going to be designated with X amount of toys to go for St. Charles. I think we're going to do a cash donation to them as well. There's some neighborhood assistant, there's some NAP credits with the coffin fund. So this is the first time that I've like raised this much money and dispersed it. So there's going to be taxes involved. So I'm also looking to get with the Kauffman Fund because they've got some NAP credits, which goes towards a dental program for veterans.
Yep. And that's something that they're doing. It's relatively new part of their program, but it's really cool.
Yeah, it's relatively new.
Rain runs a good organization.
So there's a lot of intertwinings. There's equine assisted therapy, which is which says to basically horse therapy for kids with special needs. They have a Silver Saddles program, and this is exactly what you don't want to do. They have a Silver Saddles program, and then they also have a veterans program. So like I'm just trying to tie in different cool things in the community. All these great businesses. I'm going to make a really killer video with all these nice cars. And we're going to do just a really great video where we're promoting not only the companies that are helping us, but the different charities, right? I have one gentleman, my good friend Mark Buckman. He's one of my donors. He's wants to promote like 5 or 6 different veteran charities. So we're going to figure out a different way to work those in, right?
Maybe it's quarterly or whatever else.
Yeah, you never know. Like, but the biggest thing is like, that in the world, there's all these different silos, right? And there's all these different charities and all these different silos. And it's like, hey, these are my people. And this is like I'm not going to talk to you about yours, and it shouldn't be that way because we're a city. One goal, the city, right? Our veterans, one goal is the veterans, whatever it is. So that's why I love about you because we like collaborate on different stuff and like, hey, I need this, and we go back and forth, right? And so we get rid of that notion of this silo, wherein it's just like one goal, one love, right?
One love.
There you go.
And so speaking of one love and one goal, and that being a thing that we utilize, what I like to do when I wrap an episode is I like to ask my guests, and there's a reason why this isn't on the pre-show form. It's like
oh no, man! I've been good so far, man. Yeah. You didn't stump me.
No, it's good. It's just I like to ask if there's a motto, a creed, a saying, something that you have utilized or that resonates throughout your life, or maybe something your grandfather used to tell you. Because in my case, it was my grandma. That keeps you going. That help keeps your mental fortitude or your path straight. Is there?
Well, this is kind of crazy. So I just watched Hacksaw Ridge, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Have you ever seen it?
Yeah.
Okay, so
like I said, my grandfather was my best friend too. So
yeah, no.
I grew up watching a lot of that stuff.
And I don't want to disservice anything about the movie because it's a great movie, and I don't want to. But when he's up there, he's like, God, just let me save one more.
Yeah.
And he goes up and he literally saved all these guys and lowered them down this cliff. But he says like when he thinks he's out of energy, he's like, God, let me save one more. And I'm like, same thing, It's like, there's the doubters, there's everything, there's like spouses, family, whatever, like saying, why are you doing what you're doing? You're like, and I try not to listen to that, right? And I'm like, man, this is what I was put here for, right? This is the mission. I'm still on point, still saving lives, still trying to impact my city. And it's about like, just give me the energy to get one more, right? And when you want to stop, when you want to quit, you're like, and it's beautiful because like the days, it's like different pistons are firing, right?
Sure.
Like your business piston can be firing and it might quiet down, but your charity piston starts firing and you're like, whoa, this is awesome. It gets you ramped up and comes back over here and restarts this piston, right? And then when this piston's going really great, you got money and connections and everything, and this feeds into your other charity. So that's been my motto recently, right? There's a couple more. There's a couple more that I use, but that was the first one that jumped to my mind. So yeah,
cool. And then I like to end too with I like to let the listeners and watchers know something I'm taking away from the conversation.
Right.
Something I'm taking away from the conversation is the mindset of I never thought of financial planning as a pathfinder before, but I like your mindset of that's what you did in the military and that's what you do in your career because you're helping find that path of least resistance. You're saving people from having to go through the hornet's nest,
Right.
to go buy the sniper
Right.
fire, to go into landmines. Right.
Right.
You are literally taking what they're doing with their life and helping get to their end goals
Right.
in a safer way.
In a safer way, and still, still letting them enjoy the life and taking care of their kids, and being that reality check-in, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, that's like super important. And that's why we do what we do, right? It's not easy. So some people might know me from my big ass German Shepherd and Gunner, and like sometimes it's like Gunner's tired and he's at an event and he's tired and he's hot or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and people are like, oh, that poor dog. And I'm like, this is what he loves doing.
Yeah.
This is what he loves doing, and he knows the job.
Right.
Right. He knows the job. It's like you were talking to my friend Gina. Gina knows the job. There's certain people who are part of my circle who know their job.
You got to
right?
show up when you show up.
You got to show up, even if it hurts sometimes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Phil, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, my friend.
Looking forward to, we'll have that link in there. If you're looking for more, you can click the link below in the description bar. Whether you're listening on Spotify or one of your stations or watching it, there'll be a link below to see how you can get involved in the lights.
The St. Louis Lights.
Thank you, because
Thank
now
you.
I've got that lighted up St. Louis. In my
I
head.
know shit. I should have never said that.
So St. Louis Lights, check the link below, and we will see you next time. Please click that like button and subscribe, and we will see you next time on Mental. TRT treatment is something that's widely thought of as something that just gives you an edge. That extra beast mode in the gym, a little bit of push when it's needed, or just that testosterone feeling, right? But in actuality, TRT treatment goes way deeper than that. It helps keep you calm. It helps keep you patient. It regulates your mood by regulating your hormones. It's not just a treatment to go beast mode. It's a treatment to be a calmer and better father. As a business owner and a father myself, I understand all too well how much it's needed to become a little more patient and a little more calm in a world that's pretty chaotic. Go check out Prime Performance today.